want to talk about these entheogens, this entheogen phase thing. The Russell Brand thing has gone really big for me this week. I started out being sort of like public enemy number one for not falling for the Fabian Christ, and then I was a faction kind of split up, and then I was given a lot of support by Red Ice and James Corbett and a few others, so it kind of swung back around. And I was wondering where I was going to go next, because I wanted to sort of like forget about the thing, but then it seems to be that now he's going to have, what's his name, Graham Hancock on editing the New Statesman, the Fabian magazine that's published by millionaires who want the rest of us in poverty. Now, the entheogen thing is interesting because it's being pushed way too much for me to be comfortable about at this moment. Now, I'm not anti people using ayahuasca, mushrooms, LSD, all that stuff. That's your own business. If people want to inject themselves with toilet cleaning fluid, that's their own business. But however, it's being sold as a panacea. It's been sold as this panacea that if you take the entheogen, you'll get more spiritual or something. I don't necessarily believe that. I think it opens expansion of consciousness. It's very good for artists, but it's not for everyone. Some people do have bad reactions to it, and it certainly isn't, a party drug. And that's what's going to happen. Now, we really are back in the 1960s again. We had the Timothy Leary, who was a CIA agent, Terence McKenna. It's come out now that he quite possibly was a CIA agent. And they flooded the activist scene, particularly the anti-Vietnam War scene, with LSD at that time, and gave people Christ-like figures. There was a Christ and an Antichrist in the 1960s of that generation. The Christ was the Dionysian Jim Morrison, who was created out of the Laurel Canyon Psy-Op, and the Antichrist was Charles Manson, but they both have the Jesus Christ look. Now, right now, we have the Pro-Christ, which is the Dionysian, womanly man. That is the Russell Brand. He's the Jim Morrison in this particular, reconstruction of the Psy-Op. We still have to get the Antichrist. There has to be a duality to this thing. So I have a theory, and I'm making a prophecy. Well, a prediction. I don't really make predictions, but my prediction is that we will now have a trendy explosion of use of entheogens, ayahuasca, mushrooms, peyote, pure DMT, and then something is going to happen. There's going to be a murder, a high-profile killing involving what will be the Antichrist, the new remake of Charles Manson. This will then bring in the draconian laws they want to get people off these drugs, and they'll be introduced to chemical and synthesized versions of ayahuasca, DMT, psilocybin, the usual thing. So we're watching amazing things unfolding before our eyes right now. We really are. This is incredible stuff. It worked kind of well for them in the 60s, but I think they're going to try and perfect it now, because the reason why it didn't work so well in the 60s, completely, was that there was still a lot of people who were very well educated and had a level of intelligence, where today people are far more stupid and they have an infantile level of intelligence. An example of that would be when Russell Brand makes jokes, they're jokes that 8-year-olds would make, like calling, Bob Geldof Sir Bobby Gandalf. That's like something an 8-year-old would say in the schoolyard. Now, you couldn't imagine a true intellect such as Bill Hicks or George Carlin making jokes about Sir Bobby Gandalf like it's really clever, when it's like 8-year-old schoolyard clever. But it works today because people are more moronic than ever. They've been made more moronic by all the additives in food. The general level of hysteria in the media has created an infantilization. People cannot really, they don't have the ability to see anything. Things like canned laughter have made people not understand even what humor is. They laugh, oh, funny, ha ha ha. They laugh when they hear the canned laughter. There's terrible sense of humor today, and it's not really that intelligent. If it's dirty, it's not dirty in a good way. It's not dirty in a clever way, the way George Carlin and Bill Hicks did it. If it's smutty, it's just smutty. There's no sort of like clever sort of subtext under there that is like what you had with kind of like Derek and Clive. I mean, Peter Cook was incredibly smutty, but he was fucking clever as anything, because that was a completely different generation that had, better cognitive functioning that we have today. They were eating more natural food. They weren't moving over to you know unsaturated fats where where they had no ability to build brain power. So we're heading towards, uh, you see, we were always made to believe, right, that when the day came when the powers that be took over and shit hit the fan, that it would be, if you listen to Alex Jones, oh, it's going to be, coming to our doors, FEMA camps, lock and load, get ready, get ready. It was never going to be like that. It was going to be a medicated cultural, psyop that would slowly take you out of the picture and bring you down to a kind of a vegetated state on SSRIs, infantile, stupid television, crap music that makes no sense. I mean, there's the thing, Russell Brand he's supposed to be cool. He's a cool, cutting-edge comedian. He makes jokes that an 8-year-old would find funny, and he marries Katy Perry. Like I said to someone the other day, that would be like Lemmy from Motorhead marrying Kathie Lee Gifford or Doris Day, and it's still supposed to be cool. That's how bad it's gone. So we've been brought down to a kind of a vegetated state, eating carbohydrate gruel that has no, saturated fats in it. So there's no brain up there that can actually cognitively process and build new neural pathways. And now he's big into the transcendental meditation, which is a Hollywood cult. And cults do nothing except destroy our independence. So that's what it comes down to, folks. It comes down to the fact that you're being turned into a vegetable, but you're being entertained or given plastic spirituality. And that this androgen thing, this pushing of androgens into the mainstream is a huge part of it. We're back to the Timothy Leary days. We now have the postmodernist stoned ape. Please, please, wake up and turn your back on this nonsense.